trigger point technology. Okay, it's the ability to turn this laser on and have a laser light indicating where you would like for your bullet to go. If my finger now goes in on this trigger safety, none of this has been changed. This is all stock. When my finger touches the trigger safety, you'll notice that the light on the wall now begins to flash. It's telling me where my finger is at. If you don't want your finger on trigger, it's telling you that's where it's at. Okay? So if I'm just off to the side, then I'm only threatening at that point. This means action, this means threat. So I'm not acquiring the target with this laser. I'm just giving the ability to pretty much understand where my bullet's going to go and maybe warn. So this is an on-off switch. Once that is switched, it is now off. I can touch anything in here and it does not come on.
For someone like yourself, because I got to give you $1,000 worth of cord.
That would be for police force, security agents, that type of stuff. We have one that is actually for home use. That is a little bit different. If I touch the button on the side, the light stays on as long as my finger is touching the side. If I release it, it is now off. If I go in on the trigger safety and touch it, it begins to flash. So there's nothing I'm having to turn on whatsoever. This one is hot, ready to go at any time, not guessing if it's on or off. Not for police force, not for sheriffs, that type of stuff whatsoever. This is more for home use.
Now you've also got a rifle that does a light.
Thank you. So this one is actually for where snipers, really high-end users. Okay, the active user. Everything that I show you will be the same except for the trigger. We'll get into that. What this does is this trigger is also a switch for us. This is a switch for us. Goes up through here to our trams unit. This tells what we want to come on at the end of the rifle. I don't turn this, I don't have to touch anything up here. There's no squeeze switches. Strictly by touching here or here, I can determine here what I would like to come on. On this particular unit here, if I push the button on the side, it's momentary, which means I only want to be identified when I want to be identified. I take my finger off, I go into the trigger. Now remember, this is for the high-end user. I now touch the trigger. It's just a slight little lever, just a little bit of pressure. It turns everything on for me again, whatever I've chosen to do.
So this is a fine example of a situation in which the practically untrained are making solutions for real-world problems that they don't understand. He's saying it's for high-end users, but a moment before he spoke to us, he said it was for the civilian because law enforcement couldn't enter an area with their finger on the trigger. And actually, there's a goddamn good reason they can't do that.
Why would you not want them to do that?
And so if that means that's the case, I don't know about you, but do you really want the average user in their house afraid when someone's kicking their door to use the finger, a light finger pressure on their trigger to illuminate the target to determine if they want to shoot or not? That seems like an extremely bad idea.
Not just when someone's kicking in the door, but when you hear a pitter-patter of little feet and you're trying to figure out if it's your 10-year-old kid or if it's a burglar.
What are you using? First of all, lights are great, and you need lights, but what are you using a light for? You're using a light to identify a friend or foe, or if you want to engage and kill a target. And you don't necessarily want to have the light on to present yourself as to where your location is. Got all that. Do you want your finger on the trigger to cause the illumination to occur to determine if you want to fire at that shape in your hallway?
I'm thinking
no. That may be a bad idea, but that's indicative of the kind of stuff that's in this industry that, frankly, caveat emptor, and get some training, please. Please.